Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another episode of the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. My name is Kearless, and if you don't know me already, I am a two-time Peak Eternity player and continue to play this game to this very day. It's nice to meet you. This is the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. It is a series where I will be posting every single day going over high-level concepts that you should be utilizing in your own games if you want to improve. My overall goal with this series is to help a ton of people to achieve their peak ranks. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to put up the complete lesson guide on screen now. So if you guys ever want to jump around and choose a lesson that you want to work on, I'll put that on screen so you guys can pick one. Alright, so just a little disclaimer, this is going to be a long video today, and my parents want me to keep it down because apparently I've been being too loud and it's 1:30 in the morning, So far, we've talked about positioning, target priority, tempo, pressure, and spawn advantage, but today, we're going to combine all of those ideas into one concept. So every single thing that you've learned so far comes down to one question, and that is going to be, what resources are you willing to spend, and what resources are we saving? So this obviously goes into resource management, and you might be wondering what resource management is, so I'm going to go over that shortly. Resource management is using your team's available resources efficiently while forcing the enemy to waste theirs. I'm going to say that one more time because of how important it is. It's using your resources efficiently while forcing the enemy to waste theirs. That is good resource management. Resources are anything that helps your team win the fight, and the team with the more available resources will have the advantage. So the goal isn't to have more resources, the goal is to spend them more efficiently. So now we're going to go into the resources that you should definitely know and keep track of. Keep in mind that these are just general. I'm not going to do the hero specific ones, but this is just going to be an all over. So resource number 1 is going to talk about health. Health is your most obvious resource, right? Every point of health matters, and the less health that you actually have, the less aggressive you can position, the more attention your supports must give you, and the more likely you are to actually lose the fight. But sometimes taking damage is worth it, but most of the time it isn't. An example, if the Venom intentionally loses half of his health diving into the backline, why? Because he creates enough space for his team to win, and then he can go back to his supports and give his supports ult charge. So he spent health in order to gain pressure on the enemy team and give his supports ult charge. Now for a bad example, if the Punisher peeks the same angle repeatedly and he keeps dropping to 20 HP before the fight even starts, now when the fight begins, he's already at the disadvantage. So this is a time where it's bad for you to spend your HP, aka a resource. So the resource number 2 is going to be cooldowns, and cooldowns are temporary resources. I want to note that out, that cooldowns are just temporary, and every ability that you use removes an option. So you need to ask yourself, do I need this cooldown now, or can you save it for a later time? An example is that if the Spider-Man uses his swings to get in the fight aggressively, and then he gets one in elimination, now he can't get out easily because he already used all of his swings. So the enemy collapses on him and then he dies. So cooldowns should solve problems on your team, not create them, like I just said in that example. And now resource number 3 is going to be time. Most players don't think of time as a resource, but it absolutely is, and every single second matters. A couple examples are like wasting time chasing down one enemy, rotating too slowly, waiting too long to engage, waiting too long to disengage, delaying your regroup. The time is constantly being traded, and whoever has the better time priority will end up most likely winning the game. This is super important, and I want you to remember that time is a resource as well. But time isn't like the other resources where they come back. Time is the one resource that you can never get back. And so for resource number 4, it's actually going to be positioning. Positioning is one of the strongest resources in the entire game. You can be on high ground, you can be on cover, strong angles, objective control. These are all positional resources, and sometimes giving up positions costs more than losing health or your other cooldowns. So a couple of examples is your team owns the high ground, and instead of holding it, everyone jumps down, and now the enemy controls the better position. So you're giving up your position, which is a resource, and giving it to the enemy team. So you're just giving away resources to the enemy team. In what sense does that make? This is another obvious resource, but we're going to talk about ultimates. Ultimates are resources, and you already learned this in lesson 12. You want to ask, is this ultimate necessary? Can we win without it? Or can we save it for the next fight? Because ultimates are a resource that comes back every other fight, or maybe even every third fight. So you don't want to use them when you don't need to, because then the enemy team is going to have more ultimates, aka a resource, than you guys are. So this is something that nobody really thinks about, but I think of attention as a resource. So think about this. If someone is holding the off angle and now 2 people on your team go to distract that person, so now the main angle is only a 4v5 and the attention is split between 2 fights. So this is a resource that nobody really thinks about, and great players will manipulate it to their advantage. Attention is a great resource because players can't focus on everything all at once. They have to choose which fight they want to look at. And the last resource, which I know is a lot, is space. This is the final resource, and when your team controls more space, you have more options, which means you have more resources. The enemy has fewer options and they have fewer resources. So space gives your team freedom and takes away the enemy team's freedom, and pressure creates the space, objective rewards space, and everything just connects all together. So also, I want you to think of space as a resource too. Alright, that's enough of listing resources. Now we're going to get to good versus bad trades. So first, I want to say that there is certain categories, but not all of this is right in every single game, because Marvel Rivals, there could be a billion different possibilities. So I want to give you a layout, but I want to mention that this is not the best tier list on what you want to trade in every single game. So first, I would say health is good to trade for objective control. Cooldowns are good to force out the enemy support cooldowns. Your ultimate is good to win an important fight. Your positioning is good for securing eliminations, and your time is good for better setup before the objective. Those are good trades. And now we're going to talk about bad trades. So just like I said before, these are not set in stone. Don't treat this like the Bible. This varies per game. It is not like a rule book. So some things I'm going to mention don't apply in certain games, but they will apply for majority of the games. So a bad trade, you don't want to trade your ultimate for one unnecessary elimination. So when the elimination doesn't matter, that's what I want to point out. And then cooldowns, you don't want to use your cooldowns just for simple minor poke damage, and you don't want to trade your health for when you're getting no pressure. You don't want to have bad positioning just so that you could chase one enemy, and your time, you don't want to waste your time fighting after the objective is already lost. This is really because resources actually snowball together. So once you gain momentum, you'll keep gaining more and more and more momentum, or once you start losing momentum, you'll start losing more and more and more momentum. This goes into resource snowballing. So winning teams should often snowball. Why? Because resources create more resources. An example is if you win the fight and you gain the objective, you'll end up gaining better positioning, you'll build your ultimates faster than the enemy team, and then you'll win the next fight. And then it just continues on for there. It just repeats itself. So something I want you to walk away with is understanding that small resources advantage become big advantages over time. So always look for those small resource advantages too. So just like always, we're going to go over some hero examples. So first, Venom will trade his health for space. Spider-Man will trade his mobility and cooldowns for picks. Must know when the trade is worth it and when it's not worth it. The Punisher will use his positioning as his greatest resource because his primary fire does really good damage when you have solid sightlines. Luna Snow manages healing resources while protecting their teammates and herself. And Doctor Strange uses his cooldown and positioning to deny the enemy team's resource so you guys can get better trades. And just like always, I'm also going to do the good team examples and the bad team examples. But first, for the good team examples, if your team spends 1 ultimate and the enemy team spends 3 and both teams win 1 fight, the next fight, your team has 5 ultimates and the enemy has 3. The lesson here is that winning efficiently creates future advantages for you guys to have a higher probability of winning the total game. And now for the next good team example, if your Venom dives and the enemy support has to use their escape and the tank has to use their defensive cooldown, and now Spider-Man hasn't even engaged yet, so when your team finally goes into attack, you guys have more resources than the enemy team because your Venom dove in the enemy team and traded his health for cooldowns and damage. This is an example where one resource can force several different resources in return. And now for the bad examples. If your Spider-Man uses every single cooldown to secure 1 elimination, then the enemy immediately eliminates the Spider-Man and the fight becomes a simple 5v5. There is very little value gained. So the lesson here is that winning a duel isn't always a good trade. And for the final bad example, if your team wins the fight and instead of taking the high ground, everyone chases the eliminations and the enemy returns and then they retake the better positioning. So the lesson here is that you shouldn't trade long-term advantages for short-term excitement. I know, back to the slideshow. I feel the same way, but it's pretty important. We're going to go over common mistakes, and I'm going to put them on screen so it's easy for you guys to follow along. So a couple of common mistakes that I notice in lower ranked games that I've audited you for are using cooldowns without purpose, ignoring positioning, holding ultimates for too long, overusing their ultimates, taking unnecessary damage, wasting time, ignoring space, and ignoring how many resources the enemy team actually has. A couple of questions that you should ask yourself in your games are: what resources do we have? What resources do they have? What resources am I spending? What resources am I gaining on the enemy team? Is this trade worth it? And can I force more resources than I can spend? And now, like usual, for the homework, for your next 5 games, every time you use a major cooldown, ultimate, or an aggressive play, you want to pause afterwards and then you want to ask yourself, what resources did I spend and what resource did I gain? Try to identify at least 3 good trades and 3 bad trades by the end of the match, and then go over them and think about what you should have done instead. One of the biggest changes in my own gameplay that came to me is when I stopped thinking in terms of kills and deaths and started thinking in terms of trades. Every cooldown, every rotation, every ultimate, every single bit of health is a resource, and once you start asking, was that trade actually worth it, then after every engagement you'll make smarter decisions, and almost automatically that is one of the biggest ways that you can get better and turn into an elite player. So in next lesson, we'll cover trading, how to recognize when giving something up is actually the correct play, and why elite players constantly think about making trades that might be bad in the moment but end up winning them the game. Okay, thank you guys for watching this video. That's going to be it for today. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit quieter. My parents asked me to keep it down because they're trying to sleep right now. It's currently 1:30 in the morning. I got to finish up this video and then I'm going to go to bed because I got work tomorrow. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the series. You guys are being awesome. We're almost at 50 subs. Let's try to hit that 50 sub goal. Yeah, I don't really think I have much else to say. Psylocke guide's almost done. I'm almost done with a tier lock. I'm almost done with a tier list of what characters are the best ones to main, not just which ones are good during this season, but which characters have the best longevity, because I've noticed patterns throughout the seasons and which characters are pretty much favored by the developers. That one's almost done, and the roles are almost done. So thank you to everyone who has given out those suggestions. Those are all really, really good ideas. I don't really have much else to say, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch in with you guys tomorrow. If you like the video, please press that like button, comment, or even subscribe if you like multiple of my videos. That would help me out so much. Anyways, it's gonna be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later. Peace.